What is up, guys? I'm a little nasally today, so ignore my voice. Season 5 just dropped today. I've already played a couple games with Loba. She is super fun. Her skin, she's got some really cool skins. This is my current favorite one. I think the gold standard one is also really cool. Look at that. Assets. Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon. The sun is still out. I really like these two skins. She's got some super cool rare skins. Not a fan of these two, but I like the swords in the back, so you do you, whatever. But I'm not going to talk about skins. I'm not going to talk about anything but the changes to the game that matter about gameplay. So I'm going to talk about the guns. I'm going to talk about characters. I'm going to talk about stuff like that. That's all I'm really going to talk about. I'll mention Gold Shield 2, because there's a change to the Gold Shield. I'll actually talk about that first. But I just want to jump in straight into training mode. Into firing range, kind of show off some things that happened. And keep this short, hopefully. So first off, my current thoughts on the season. I'm going to still main Wraith, still kind of co-main / secondary Watson, and then also kind of co-main / secondary Lobo. How was I already forgetting your name? Whatever. So I'm going to use Lobo a lot, especially at the beginning. I think she's super cool. I think she's super fun, and I've got a lot of hope for her, and I think she's got some cool stuff she can do. So the first thing I'll get into is going to be the Gold Shield. So there are a bunch of new changes, such as the way that Death Box loot looks. The quests, obviously, you can now hit random favorites for skins and shuffle your skins, guns, stuff like that. But I'm going to talk about the Gold Shield. So the Gold Shield, instead of having fast heals, what it does instead is
recharging my shields.
When you use a shield cell or a syringe, it now does double the effect. So the normal shield, a shield cell does 1 bar. With the Gold Shield, it does 2 bars. You use less meds. Instead of using, you use half the meds that you would normally need to get healed up with Gold Shield. So they got rid of fast heals, which kind of nerfs the ability to use like shield bats and phoenix kits willy-nilly when you have Gold Shield. But using so much less shield cells with a Gold Shield is just crazy. Like, your whole team needs to heal up after a fight and you're safe. Just pass the Gold Shield around so you guys don't have to use as much shield cells. It's kind of crazy. So that's the Gold Shield. That's really the only change to like equipment or anything like that happened. They did add the Skull Piercer hop back in. They got rid of Anvil. So the Longbow and the Wingman, their headshot damage did get nerfed, just to make up for Skull Piercer being back in the game. So Skull Piercer's back. Shout out to Season 2. So that's kind of cool. I'll talk about the Wingman and the Longbow kind of when I get back down there. I'm going to start with the first 2 guns that I had impressions with when I saw the patch notes, were the RE45 and the Alternator. So the RE45 now does 12 per shot instead of 11. So overall, higher DPS and just higher damage potential than before. It still has really good hipfire, it still has good mobility and reload time, but it's going to still shoot slower, have weirder recoil, in my opinion. Shoot a little slower, have a smaller magazine size, and have weird recoil than the R99, so it's gonna be worse than the R99. But it's a lot better than it was before, I think. It has a maximum of 200 damage. It's still a full clip, still can't down someone with precision. Sucks. You literally have to go like 1 shot, but second it sucks. You get to 192. But like, when you have a gold RE45, which is one of the gold weapons, purple mag on it, which will be 25 bullets, and then you can dish out a maximum of 300 damage if you hit every single shot, body shot. So it's overall pretty nice. It's going to be, I think it's going to see a little bit more usage. I'm personally going to pick it up more until I find an R99, but It's just worse than the R99. And now the Alternator now has a pretty similar mag size to the R99, so it starts off with 19 instead of 16. The 99 starts with 20. It goes up to 27 with a purple mag, so it's going to have more bullets overall in the mag than it had to do before, which I think it really, really needed. But the damage in this firing rate, the fire rate, didn't change on it at all, so still going to be just slow damage. It can still like do some good damage, but it's just gonna be, I think, so too slow for its worth that I think it's the worst light gun at this point. Because the G7 hits from long range, the R301 can hit mid range too as well. The Alternator can, but the R301 is just better at it. The P2020 has hammer point. The R45 now has a better damage output and just just kills much quicker. And then there's the R99, which is still just broken. So that's kind of it for the light guns. Anvil's gone, so the 301 and the flatline are going to be a little bit worse. Single fire mode at least. The Wingman now has the Skull Piercer back, so it's going to be a little bit stronger. The hop up. Able to 2-shot, so that's going to be nice. Same with the longbow. Other than that, all snipers are kind of the same. Most of the guns are kind of the same. I still think the longbow and the triple take will be kind of fighting for the best sniper. I think the charge rifle is the worst, but all snipers are good. Use whichever preference you have. The Havoc supposedly has more horizontal recoil, but yeah, I don't see it at all. So moving on, Havoc's still broken. The big change to the game, gun-wise, is this. The Mastiff is now a drop gun, just like what they did with the L-Star and the Devotion. They did it with the Mastiff and the Peacekeeper. So the Peacekeeper is now a gold care drop weapon. It's really fast. It does the same damage as it had before. 15 bullets total, so you've got 3 full mags of it. So it's gonna be pretty well balanced. You're not gonna be able to carry it for the whole game or whatever. Then there's the Mastiff, which now has 6 bullets instead, but it has less, a little bit less damage, I think, and it has a widened spread, so you're not going to be able to choke down on people as much. So if you're really up close, you can still 104 and 2-shot, but kind of like from distance, you're really not going to be hitting 2 crazy damage shots. So it's going to kind of switch out for the Peacekeeper. I'm not sure it's going to entirely replace the Peacekeeper. I think it's a little bit worse, but it's still a pretty good shotgun. I just did 90 from here. Granted, on a really big dummy platform, or dummy kind of science of the actual characters. So it'll be good. It'll be a good gun, especially to pull out like when you're up close. Fire or really quick aim down sights and deal a lot of damage. But overall, I don't think it's going to be quite as strong as the Peacekeeper was. We'll see. I could be wrong. Now, getting onto the characters, starting with the Loba. Loba is super cool. Her tactical, you see legendary and epic loot, or golden purple loot, through walls and everything, like you can see here. And up the distance you can see is how much you'll be able to grab with your ultimate. Now, I think this passive is really effective, and just like a nice quality of life thing to have, because you can kind of tell your teammates where maybe they're looking for a sniper scope, which are all purple, pretty much. And so you can kind of tell them, you see something and like, oh, you should check over there, or you see a Phoenix kit. Just being able to see loot from farther away. The biggest use for it, I think, I played a game on PC earlier where I was able to see the gold shield, or not a gold shield, a purple shield, as soon as I dropped. And so I ran immediately to get that, and I ended up getting 2 kills. I won on a 2v1 out of that because I just out-shielded them. I was able to get a 301 too, so I had a good gun. But I was able to get a shield off drop, and like I was able to just find something good to immediately get in a fight, because like at the very beginning of a fight, you have to grab obviously some kind of, you have to grab something. You want to grab a gun and a shield when you go into a fight. I was able to find a purple shield, so that was just not out of luck, but like I was just able to see it. I was able to see it. It was like 2 rooms away from me, so I went there immediately, and it was just nice. which is really nice like little quality of life thing. Her ultimate comes out.
Setting up shop.
That was weird. Her ultimate comes out. It can take up to like 99 damage, I believe, so you can kind of use it to take a couple shots for you, kind of like Watson's, if you need cover. But what you do is you are able to grab 2 items out of it. This is how the loot kind of looks now. The guns will be kind of side to side. The ammo will be kind of all lined up side to side, and then all the equipment like this. So I'll be able to grab some different things. So I can grab, let's say that, and there's a care
Mama's
package
got a brand
somewhere
new
nearby,
bag.
but you don't want to have to run out there and grab it. So you can drop her ultimate, and you can grab the Kraber from the care package. And then hit 435 in the head because his gun's broken. So yeah, it's nice. It's really, I think it's super helpful when there's enemy teams nearby, or you're moving into a spot that's maybe like you're moving into a ring instead of wasting time kind of spreading out, getting loot. You can just put this down, grab what you need. You also see what loot is around. So not only do you get to grab a couple things, you get to see what's around to see if it's even worth going for. Which is, I think, is just super cool and super good for like rotations and rotating and stuff like that. I've also used it. I put it down in the middle of a fight. I was able to kind of duck behind cover, put it down, grab some more ammo because I was running out of ammo. So I grabbed some more light ammo, like early on in the game where you don't have a lot of stuff. I was able to grab some more meds too. Even later on when I was running out of meds, it was helpful. Even grab a shield from like a death box. Like you kill somebody, you can set your ultimate down, you can get their shield from where you are pretty much, as long as they're not super far away. So mid-fight, like this ultimate's actually got a lot of abilities. It does reveal your location and enemies can use it, but overall I think it's got more pros than it does have cons. Now there's a tactical ability, which is a bracelet, which is like a little teleport thing, and I think it's both really good and really underwhelming. I think it's super good with the range you get. You can get to like 75 meters, almost. I've gotten like 74, I think was the longest number I've been able to get. And just firing range training mode. I'll see if I can kind of show it off here. But like you can get pretty far. You can get at least like 60 meters away, which is a good distance. You can get on top of high ground. For example, like in a way that really only Pathfinder could. Maybe Revenant if he climbed, but kind of from this distance will show you me getting onto this tower with Lobo. I can kind of rotate there.
Don't drive out.
I do have this slow animation and this slow kind of recovery animation, but now I'm on high ground, so I'm able to get good mobility. I think the one thing that holds it back is that animation time of kind of the startup where you have to take the bracelet off and throw it, and then really what hurts is the recovery animation time where you
Thanks for not giving up on me.
teleport,
I
put the
couldn't
bracelet
leave
back
so many
on.
treasures behind.
I'll kind of show you how fast it goes. So you've got this amount of time to just it's that recovery time right there that I think hurts her. Because it's kind of, you have to give up the fact that you can't really use it in a fight to get behind somebody, which is one thing I was hoping for with her, that you could just automatically flank somebody, get behind cover, maybe get in their building. You still can, but you have to be very careful with it. I think if you're in a 1v1, it's not going to work. If you have, if your teammates are all up and they're able to kind of support you, give you some cover fire, then maybe it will, so you can kind of just sneak up behind them. But overall, I think it's pretty good for running away. I think it needs to be a little faster for it to be really, really, really good. I think her ultimate maybe could use a little bit more range or something. But I think her ultimate and her passive overall are fine and good the way they are. I think it's just the tactical needs to be faster. Maybe a little bit farther range too. Maybe be able to get it up to like 80 meters, or maybe just throw it a little high, have like less of an arc to it, because it has a pretty steep arc that goes. I think that would help out a lot. But overall, I think she's good. I think she's like a really viable character. Probably not in like competitive tournament play, but she's kind of like in the high tier range ish. And you can also drop it straight to the ground in the middle of the throw and kind of stop your teleport short and kind of change the distance up. So that's kind of nice too. Then I'm going to quickly go over the changes to the other characters.
I'm back in action.
Gibby and
Let's do
Pathfinder
this,
both
brothers.
got nerfed. Gibby's don't
Shield
shield
up.
now lasts 12 seconds instead of 18. That's the span of 2 Gibby ultimates, which lasts 6 seconds instead of 3. So I think it's a reasonable change. He's still super good. That's the only thing that changed about him. So yeah, dome shield lasting a little bit shorter, but still plenty long enough. Pathfinder
Here I come, back from the
got
sky.
a sad nerf. To his grapple. So you grapple, you have 35 seconds until you get it back again. That's the same amount of cooldown that Wraith has for her phase. And I think it's bad. It's a bad nerf they shouldn't have done, because Pathfinder's a movement character, and they're taking away the movement from a movement character in a movement-based game. So I really, really disagree with this choice. I think they need to revert it. I think they also need to revert the Wraith nerfs they've been doing, like the portal disappearing if both ends are in ring. And the cooldown for her phase. I think they need to revert the low profile thing too. I think they're hurting the wrong legends here. I think they need to be going after Watson. Have anybody, but you know, whatever. I can hope, I can dream. I can also just suck it up and deal with it and do with what I got, because this game's still super fun. Now the two big winners of the game of the patch of Season 5 are Cossack and Mirage.
I
Now
control
Caustic,
death.
I'm not
It
happy
does not
about
control me.
at all. Mirage I think is super cool now, but Caustic, the only change he got is that his gas
Introducing
no
a new
longer
variant.
slows down your teammates, meaning there's no repercussions to throwing gas out, so you can throw it out in fights to help your teammates. It doesn't hurt them anymore. There's no reason not to run Caustic and Watson and hold bunker down on a house like crazy. He's already started to see a little bit of competitive use. I really think he's going to see more now, just because his defensive capabilities are on par with Watson, pretty much. I still think Watson's better. I think Caustic's like number 3 right now, but
My vision is clear.
he's going to be so good with this. This change to the game, just being able to, your teammates could not get slowed down by the gas anymore. They can walk through the gas just like Caustic. Why would you not just start throwing canisters down? So yeah, he's going to be really good now. Lastly, Mirage got a
Here I come, Mirage to the
rework,
rescue.
which is
After
cool.
being rescued.
It actually gives him a lot of potential. Now that he has support capabilities. So his new passive, not only do you still get cloaked when you get knocked down, you cloak you and your teammate when you are picking them up, when you are reviving them, and when you are using respawn beacons. So he now has support capabilities of reviving, so he can get out of a fight, or in the middle of like a hectic fight where there's like 3 squads around or 2 squads or whatever, he can res somebody and they can't see where you are because you're both invisible, and that's broken. I think it's gonna be broken.
Bamboozles
decoy,
for the fools.
You can now control,
It works, it
and
rhymes.
every input you do, he will follow. So I'm punching, he punches, I slide, I jump, I move in the direction, stuff like that. You can kind of, he'll just go whatever input that you push that he's facing, so he's kind of facing that way, so he'll walk forward in his direction. You can use it to disorient people a lot. Gives him a lot more control over his bamboozles, and gives him a lot more mind games too. And lastly, his
Decoy
ultimate
escape deployed.
is going to be Emergency Dance Party, or Life of the Party is what they call it, which is so disorienting in a fight. Pair that with
Go
his
bamboozle.
decoy, and you're controlling 7 Mirages right now. It's really hard to see, especially with all these like blue lines. You don't know which one's which, pretty much. And that's plenty of time for Mirage to just get his shots off. Using a mask, if you can get right up on him, using a 99, whatever you're using. He's going to have a lot of abilities in a fight, and just kind of like, yeah, in the middle of a fight, kind of as like a, I want to say as a kind of a crisis button with his ultimate to kind of disorient your opponent and really get the upper hand in a fight. You can use your decoy for the same thing, and then also go res your teammates. Either resurrect them, revive them, use a respawn beacon, or just pick them up from when they're downed. It's gonna be kind of crazy, especially pair that with like a gold backpack. He's gonna be crazy. He's gonna be pretty dang good overall. So I now think he's like a high tier kind of threat. Not quite like pro level competitive, but up there. Kind of same thoughts with Lobo. I think he and Mirage and Lobo are both like kind of on the cusp of if they got a couple more things they could be. You know, like tournament viable, competitive viable, stuff like that. I kind of put them around where I put Revenant and Lifeline. Now that Mirage isn't the worst, I start personally placing Crypto and Octane as the two worst, with Bloodhound and Bangalore kind of down there. Kind of down there at the bottom, I'd say, of the list. But I could be wrong. You know, it's the first look at the tier list. I really want to fight a Mirage, and I really want to use Mirage just to kind of see just how good it is. But I think he's going to be a lot more. He's going to be a lot trickier to fight and a lot better for the team than he ever was. That's cool. Season 5 overall is really cool. They added a lot of new things. Like Quest I'm really excited for. Lobo I'm going to be really excited for. And I'm going to keep playing her a lot. I hope they revert Caustic back to not being as good. And I hope they fix Pathfinder. I hope they revert his nerf. But we'll see. Time will tell. Whatever happens, happens. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I couldn't leave so many
Until
treasures
then,
behind.
I'm going to be teleporting with Loba, so see you later.
Tossing jump drive.
I'm out.